This is Anthony with True Diamond Heart, continuing our video series on waking up and living. The value of waking up. This is kind of part 2 of the last video. The value of waking up. We spoke about the need to be somewhat honest at the beginning and completely honest as we move into it, about how unsatisfied we've been, how unstable, and how we have not been living the life that our inner, deepest, most inner beings have called to us to live. The value of waking up. Now, again, as we said last video, it might seem like you're suffering more as you begin to wake up because you start to be conscious of all of the suffering that you've been going through unconsciously. But as you start to be conscious of the suffering and conscious of your state, what happens is you start to actually heal, and your relationships begin to heal. Your addictions start to fall away. The value of waking up is you get to live an increasingly beautiful life, a life of inner ease. You may be working the same amount of hours. You may even find yourself economically needing to work more hours, or you have a new child and there's that much more work to do. It's not outer ease that determines inner ease, because if you're doing something you love, you'll feel at ease within other things being equal, right? So you'll start to feel an inner ease. Your relationships will heal. Your relationship with yourself, you become increasingly less dependent on what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself. What different crazy things do the unconscious, in our unconscious states, we think 10 different things about ourselves. 3 of them contradict the other 3, and the other 4 are 2 of them bother us and 2 of them make us feel good in the course of a day or in the course of an hour. The awakening, an awakened process, an awakened state is one that's increasingly joyful, it's stable. We're not dependent on circumstances, on what we think about ourselves, what we think other people are thinking about us. We take all of this increasingly less personally. And in so doing, we become independent, even of our own chattering minds that are telling us this is good, that's bad, we want this, we don't want that. We start to see through that and start to see that as a false master that we've been following. Oh, I've got to get that girl, I've got to get that guy, I've got to get that money, I've got to get that status, I've got to get that respect, I've got to lose this weight, I've got to lose this habit, I've got to lose those cigarettes, Those things begin to take care of themselves, and we identify less and less with our strengths and with our weaknesses. We simply see them for what they are, and in seeing them for what they are, the strengths naturally just become solidly rooted in the ground, growing up into the heavens, and the weaknesses fall away of their own. They fall away of their own because unconsciousness, weakness is unconsciousness, fear is unconsciousness. These things fall away in the light, the beginning awareness, consciousness, to pay attention. These things, the beginning and always as they increase, this is light. The light of love, the state of being in a state of love is so joyful and so peaceful, being at ease. This is the fruits of the tree of being awake. Now, you know how the seed has to break through the earth, and sometimes there's a drought, and sometimes there's too much water, and sometimes the wind is like this. But there's the story of the farmer who told God, how come your weather's so bad? And God said, okay, this is a Hindu story. One of the gods said, okay, you go along here, you control the weather. So the farmer made it sunny and wet, and sunny and wet, just the way he thought it was perfect. And the fruit came out, just wasn't good. The harvest was terrible. And God comes walking down the street again, because God is always embodied in Hindu mythology. And God said, he says, God, how come and he says, you forgot about the storms and the wind and the stress that makes you strong, right? The awakening process is not necessarily easy, but the fruits are at every stage. And then as the tree blooms, you start to be a fruiting tree, and that becomes the essence of who you are. Not just increasingly fruiting, you become a fruiting tree. Magnificent. You'll become creative beyond measure. You'll become of service to yourself and others beyond measure. Your physical health will just be awesome. You'll be in joy. This is what the awakening process has to offer us. The ensleepening process. Okay, we don't need to get into that next video. Next video, I'm not sure what we'll do, but we'll continue this series as we move into the exploration, how to awaken, but we're still exploring what it means to awaken. Why? Okay, we'll do that next video. So stay with us as we explore, as we experience what it means to awaken, as we actually feel, see what it's like. We actually taste some of the fruit of the awakening process. We need that. We need that because that's inspiration, and it's also an idea of what it is, not just some guy talking on the internet. It's an inner knowing. This is why I'm here on Planet School. Stay with us. We are just beginning.